I'm ready.
What's up?
Where you at right now?
I'm on first.
Okay, I'm on my way. I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
My loadout. I'm running right now.
That one?
It's pretty good.
What, the naked heavy?
I'd say.
I suppose, yeah. Alright, anyway, so how this is going to work, I'm going to talk about offense and defense on each point first, and then I'm just going to go down the line for every single consecutive point. So, I'm also going to go NG just to show you some tech that you guys should be doing with your engineer, because first is kind of a little bit of a funny situation on offense. So on first, most of the time you're going to be playing by shack, you're going to be playing by this hut. Just walking out of the left side spawn, or the right side spawn. You can walk towards cart, but people are going to be capping that, so it's not going to really be necessary. So I would mostly just focus on the fight towards the window. And the thing is, could somebody stand over here already and just show what it's like fighting the window? Yeah, it's pretty bad. You can't see him. Granted, I'm engineer of the shortest class, but I can't see him. He can see me. He has an advantage. So what you're gonna tell your engineer to do is jukebox, move out the way. So you can make the fight even. Stand on the teleporter, and it becomes a much better fight.
That's so fucking smart.
In fact, jukebox, stay up there for a second. Or somebody else just stay up there for a second. Watch this difference. Fucking massive. Anyway. Yeah,
That's insane.
Coordinate with your engineer to do that. It's so good for the fight. However, if the heavy's not here, maybe he's playing by fence, you can consider maybe jumping over onto these... onto the rail for a sack, jumping onto the spot right here. Another idea is moving across the log altogether, trying to play on this fence and waiting for people to bomb in. This is what deleted taters used to do. And I don't think you can jump back up here as heavy, not without the grue or a whip.
No, I got it. I'm coming up right now.
Oh, I see. I've never seen it done like that before. Anyway, so speaking of river, if you end up falling down here, the best thing that you can really do is try to salvage and try to rev up around these angles that I'm looking at now. The most important part is that you're catching out somebody. But it's also really easy to catch out somebody if they don't see you right here, if you're able to get right here, and they're still stuck in shack. You could also try playing the head glitch right over here, but more often than not, you'd much rather be playing on the left side if you can. Mostly just to hug around the corner, not peek, because then you're peeking into a sight line, but just being there to stop any forward aggression. However, that's just the way that I would usually play it. If your team wants to do it differently, like you being on cart, the most that you can really do is fist to steel and just watch out for stickies over here. Usually around the bush as well. But the reason why you'd want to go on cart, this is the one situation where it's really good if somebody is playing in house. Like, let's just say a soldier, a heavy, they're in house, and... Here, I'm just going to wait for everybody, but... Get into mansion for a second, or... Yeah, I'm just going to call it mansion. This is where everybody should be hiding. Over here. Not inside the house itself, but they stay over here, they get whips, and not only does the heavy have a high ground for the sack, but the soldier can bomb in, and it's really easy for them to disrupt people on cart, especially with the spy. That's what you would normally do for a defense hold if you want to play for house and not really care about your life, but yeah, more often than not, if somebody's called in house... Unless, the heavy's still right here, in which case fight the heavy by shack, then you could be on cart. That's the one situation where you can be. Any questions about that? Because that's really it for first. It's pretty simple.
Simple enough.
I got a question.
What's up?
So, when I played, what my team would do is they would sack, and they would send me to this spot right here to shoot gun.
I don't disagree with that, but I also...
Okay.
Let me... Hold on. So the guns... I mean, maybe, but then they would just... that doesn't... I don't know. The goal is not to really kill the gun. If you're playing for that, then maybe it might work. The only thing that you'd really want is for people to play inside the tunnel rather than outside. And I guess I'm mostly focused towards that, because if they're still inside tunnel, there's no space from your team to really pressure them, and if the gun's inside, then maybe this can work, but... I just don't know. That's a bit of a weird situation to be in. Because if you were playing down here, yeah, sure, you could shoot the gun, but they're gonna move it out anyway. If you could get the gun, then maybe, but they're just gonna pull it out and leave. If anything, you should... maybe. I'm growing on it. Yeah, no, that... Yeah, I honestly kind of fuck with that idea. Yeah.
That's tech.
No, honestly, I was not even thinking about aiming for the gun, but if you get that, then you guys just have a better time pushing in apartments. So, yeah,
I mean you're in position to go apps pretty quick too, so.
Yeah, you'd have really good timing there.
I mean, it does go in line with what I would usually do for first anyways, so yeah, no, absolutely. If the gun's still in tunnel, then maybe you can try that out, but also just take into consideration what I've also lined out.
Okay.
But yeah, on defense it's also pretty self-explanatory. Most of the time you're going to be playing over here in the beginning, and then slowly transitioning all the way out to the fence, and then into tunnel. For sitting by the window, most of the time you'd want to play a little bit farther away from it, that way you're not immediately sniped or peeked. And... sorry, what? Oh, yeah, let me talk about that, sorry. It depends on how fast your team is. If you are in a position to do it, doesn't mean that everybody else is in a position to do it. But either way, it should be incentivized to go ahead and do that if your team is quick enough. If your team's not quick enough, it'd be better for you to get buffs and get ready to play apartments. But it also might be beneficial for your team to clear out tunnel while you're pushing the cart, because it is downtime. So... yeah, I think generally you'd want to clear out tunnel, but... you'd also want to do it with your team. You want to be fast, preferably, but if not, then you might just have to take it at the same pace that your team is taking it. Right, sweet. Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to mention that beforehand to Swedge. But yeah, when playing the window, you don't want to stand too close to the wall, because then you could just be seen through the wall. Can somebody stand right here? Just fully red, just stand over there. Yeah, they're going to see that shadow, and it's going to be really easy to decipher whether or not the heavy is in a position to fight. And on offense, you can use that too to your advantage. Like, the heavy's close. If the shadow's all the way over here, the heavy's not close. It's pretty good information to have, and you don't want to give that up when you're playing defense. So the best thing for you to do is just stand a little bit away from the wall, and just be revved right over here. And then when people are starting to walk up, you have that timing, just walk in a straight line. And the way that you would normally play this is to not so much play close, but play far and try to catch them out first. Because it's not the actual, you know, shot that you land on them. It's the, sorry, my bad. It's the first shot that kind of matters, but it's also just expecting them and being in a position where you're not being taken by surprise. Every single time you peek this, and you're playing close like this, that does not allow you to see what the other heavy is doing. Granted, if the other team is doing this, then it's really easy for you to get the surprise on him and get a kill, because then you're at advantage. But he's always at an innate advantage when he's in this spot, and you should be too, so play like it. Not so much playing all the way back over here so you can see him first, but just being aware of who's around the corner. And if he peeks first, then you shoot him second. Or you shoot him right after, not second, but first, because he isn't shooting you. Sorry. Whew. But, yeah, aside from that, it's not really good at clearing out bombs, but
whoa,
after you're done playing in this little house for a second, then you can start playing over here. The main idea is that you're watching out for anybody trying to bomb in, watching out for a spy who might decloak right behind you, check river for anybody as well. You also have visibility on people on cart, people on the left side by the log, but just keep in mind, if you are playing this side, be careful of this sightline right here, you might get sniped. And yeah, it's pretty easy to just gauge what the other team is trying to do. It's a very open position, but you're also covered by a fence, and you could see throughout that entire fence. So use that to your advantage. Once everything is kind of once a minute's gone by or 2 minutes gone by, people are starting to push in, trickle in, trying to kill your team, trying to force you out. The only thing that you can really do then is to try and play tunnel. This is the usual gameplay loop that you'd usually do, just trying to keep out people from getting into the tunnel fast. And as soon as your team's ready to roll out, or, you know, when the cart is all the way by this little bend right here, I'd say. Right here. That's when I would start backing out with my team. Or that's when the team would usually start backing up. And then aside from that, the other thing that you can try to do is coordinate something with your soldier in house. We've already mentioned where to stand and what the gameplay loop looks like for that, but one important thing, don't telegraph it. If you want to do this house play, I find it really, really funny to have your spy invis walk into the house with you. So you and the spy are walking in together, but you're the only one walking in. Your spy is going to be leaving after you get into a position. So you're in-house, you're ready. Then the spy decloaks as a disguised friendly heavy and just starts walking towards tunnel. I shit you not. I shit you not. This is what some teams do. And when I mean that, I mean my team. Because I want to make this happen. So... No, it's stupid though.
That's
it's
genius.
like, why would
There's
you
some
ever...
young innovator minds here.
4D chess. That's some Sun Tzu shit.
That's who said that.
But yeah, no,
That
I mean,
gets like 9 out of 10 sandwiches for me.
aside from that though, there's not really much that we can talk about on first anymore. Did you guys have any questions?
Just to clarify for that engineer tech with the teleporter, it's still the heavy in the house that has advantage, or at the window.
So no, if you have a teleporter over here, then it becomes equal, if not better for you, because you finally have that position that you can just mow down somebody in.
Okay. Because that just blows my mind. Like, I've never thought of something like that.
Well, no, it's
That
not
way.
something that people usually think about. It's Reddit, sure, but it also works. Like, it works really well. Too well, in fact. Like, you pretend this is happening and then watch this. Now you don't have that advantage anymore. Now it's worse for you. Now
So
you have
crazy.
to...
I can't even see them.
What?
Yeah.
Somebody got a gift.
There's no... Open it right now.
And
Open
no
it right now or
way.
I'm not going to second.
Open
Wait,
it.
open it right now. Open
Open
it
it
right
right
now.
now.
It's an extinguisher.
And you could go through the window from the teleporter. You could
It's a
jump
baby
in
face's
right away.
blaster.
You could, but there's no
Cracks.
reason why you should.
It's
Well, if you stayed in.
it's a thermal thruster.
Nice.
Like, sure,
Negative
yeah,
value.
you can jump out the window, technically, but, like, I only really do this in pubs. Why would you do this on defense?
No, I'm saying not
So you
on,
can
on
sneak
offense. Sorry.
You can do that
On
on
offense, you can-
I don't think you can do that on offense. No way.
No, I
No
Oh, you can just
fucking
jump-
I
way!
did that.
Oh my.
I've been using it with my NG a lot.
No fucking way. I did not know about that.
You know what we
Can
call
we
that,
do
Tuca? You know what
The-
you know
That
what we
is
call
the-
that tech?
Only
That's-
reason I found this out because I couldn't make the jump from the around the wall. So I tried doing this.
That's
That's
Tuca,
crazy.
I don't know.
Tuca,
That,
do you know what we call
I'm
this?
gonna
Tuca?
do that with my team.
what?
You know what we call this tech, Tuca?
No, please don't. Okay, no. Despite it being cool, please don't do that. It'd be much better for you to learn how to do the jump over here than it would be going through the window. Going through
This
the
one's
window
called
is
the break-in.
slow. Like, regardless
This
of
one's
what
called
it's
the break-in.
regardless
Is
of
the window
what it's
safer from the
called,
sniper though?
it's worse for you in the sniper because then you're just kind of peeking into him. And again, you're slow. So master this jump right here. It's much better for you to just do that. Much more consistent too. It's really, really good.
Okay. Last thought about that window with the teleporter.
Yeah.
As soon as you showed that, it made me think like maybe it's a good play to like equip Brass Beast and just instantly annihilate the heavy in there,
Maybe.
and then go back and switch.
Maybe.
Is that like too much wasted time?
Well, no. He's just gonna know you're there.
Okay.
Like, his main goal is to just live and distract and bide some time for his team. He's not gonna fight that if he doesn't want to. But, yeah. No, aside from that... Yeah, that's pretty much it for first. For clearing out tunnel on second on offense, this is what your team is usually going to be doing. I suggest you go into tunnel with them and, you know, consider going into apartments for a possible sack if you guys want to take it fast. But the regular way that you would do this is that you would just hug this corner right here, just checking for spies, just getting a 450 buff with your soldier. And then as soon as they're ready to push, like let's just say the cart's around this bend, that's when you should start considering walking with your soldier, just getting whips, going all the way through apartments. Now, apartments is a little bit weird, and I will talk about a lot of the nuances with it, starting with the actual position itself. Inside, there's not really a whole lot that you can do. The most that you can really do is look out the window and just sort of see what the other team is doing. Especially if people are on the floor, like if you see a demo down here. A lot of people will use this to call information for their team. But the reason why I really don't like this is because it's so telegraphed. Because people on defense are just going to start looking into the door. They're going to see you. They're going to be like, oh yeah, they're here. I'm ready for them to just walk in. Right? I don't really know if that's a good idea. So, what my team, what I did in past teams was, you know, of course, keep in mind, a lot of this information is also going to be called out by the spy, so that's the number one thing. The number two thing is, I want to be fast, I want to be quick. If people know I'm here, it's going to be really telegraphed. So what do? When I'm walking up all the way over here, I stop, stand still, don't touch a single thing on my keyboard, and I'm just waiting for the call. And my soldier is going to stop whipping me as well. We're just going to stand over here. You don't want to stand directly on the wall, because people can see you through that. Can somebody stand directly on the wall? Watch. No, stand directly on the wall. I'm pretty sure it can be seen. Yeah, there we go. Like, even there, they can see your shadow a little bit. So, you know, to minimize any sort of information you give them, you sit right here with your soldier, and as soon as that happens, then you start running through. And of course, you're going to be clearing out stickies, checking to see if they're up there, but you're also just going to be running through. When you're running through apartments, there's two things that are going to try and kill you. The soldier and the heavy in this area of apartments, and the gun on the bridge. Now, the gun can be placed in two different places, either close or far. If it's far, you can easily deal with the people in apartments, assuming that you guys focus the same people together, which you guys should be doing. You guys shouldn't be taking one-on-ones. Take a 2v1, kill them as fast as possible, and if you both die, that's fine. You got your pick. And you can walk up into apartments while they're still down one. Of course, you know, sometimes the gun is close and it makes that kind of impossible. So, when you're walking through here, I wouldn't say jump rev around this corner, but at the very least, if you guys are trying to walk in and be speedy about it, jump rev after you pass the shutter. Because then you could see whether or not the gun's here, you're in position to immediately deal damage to a heavy that might peek you, a soldier that might peek you. And you mostly want to do this when their combo, the demo, medic, pyro, they all drop down trying to fight tunnel. Aside from that, assuming that the gun is dead, or the gun is disabled or wrangled, right? If for any reason the gun is just not in a position to deal with you in this window, instead of trying to fight people up in apartments, what you and your soldier can do is actually just jump out the window and land directly onto their combo. Now, the jump is very specific if you want to go in as fast as possible, and it does require a little bit of practice, so I want you guys to just try and do it without bumping the window. Because you can do it.
What's the jump?
So you walk immediately out shutter, and with a whip, you go in. Even I failed it there. It's a bit weird. It's a bit of a weird timing. Like, yeah, doing something like that with your soldier just to force and kill the med or the demo on the other team is really, really good. Any questions about any sort of push in apartments and anything about apartments at all?
Not for me. I think I got it.
Alright, sweet. One last thing before I talk about the tunnel push. If you're up in apartments, do not make this a wasted opportunity if you do end up winning it. Don't wait here for your team, be proactive. You have space, you have vision, you have the ability too. You have a sandwich, you have a soldier with you. If you heal each other properly, if you do everything right, you guys should be doing things fast. Do not wait for your team unless, you know, your team says something about it. So, yeah, just listen to what your team's doing, but also recognize that you're helping out your team. It's not the other way around. So, be fast. If you kill people in apartments, consider dropping down, consider playing the bridge, being proactive, watching for sniper, killing the gun, just being not so much a nuisance, but but just pushing into them, pretty much. Just being a good team player. With that, let me talk to you about the tunnel push, because it's a little bit more nuanced. So, the tunnel push, it's the same exact position. You just sit in the corner, you're waiting for buffs, but you don't walk up into apartments with your soldier. Your soldier, maybe he goes side tons, maybe he fucks off to side tons, for example, right? So what he's gonna do, just go into side tons, you're gonna help your demo kill the gun. So, You're gonna sit behind the cart, start dealing damage to the gun. I'm gonna go demo to show you how fucking painful it is to shoot the gun as a demo, all by himself. If somebody on your team is playing, if you know you have a demo on your team, the gun's gonna be all the way over here. I can't shoot that normally. I can't spam it because then my stickies land up here. So every single time I want to peek the gun, I'm not only risking a sniper sightline, but I have to fully charge the sticky as well. I can't shoot pipes at it. I can't do nothing without without exposing myself and committing myself to space that is probably not taken. Especially if people are on this left side over here. So, to help out with that, you are going to get a 450 buff, and you're going to try your best to help your demo deal with the gun. Now, sometimes people will be sitting on the left side, sometimes there's just going to be a sniper, maybe on the top right, maybe on the gun itself, maybe on the top left, maybe all the way in spawn, the back of spawn. You're just going to have to look at the gun, sit behind the cart, and do something. Pretty much. That's my only suggestion when you're playing cart. Once the gun is dead, you can consider going back and trying to walk in with your soldier if he's still alive, or, you know, if there's people dead on your team, maybe you consider sticking on the cart for a little bit more. But the main idea is this. If the gun dies and there's nobody who's going to stop you above, no apartment players, no sniper, no spy, no nothing. If you want to focus on the people on the left side, that might be a good thing, but just be careful because the people on the left side, in conjunction with the gun and anybody else in apartments or upper, they're just going to start spamming the cart. A smart team will recognize what you guys are trying to do and put all of the attention onto the cart, onto tracks, onto everything that's trying to push into y'all, or trying to push into them. So, yeah. Just keep that in mind when you're pushing tunnel. You're not really giving another angle for your team to push in with this. This is why you should be doing this around like 10% of the time, while the other 90 should just be solely focused on apartments. Speaking of which, because teams are fucking stupid and they haven't moved on from bad tech, outdated tech, if for some reason their team decides to hold up in apartments and they don't drop down, number one, it's easy because then you just send your sniper side tunnel, you send a soldier side tunnel, and you help your combo in apartments, but let's go into more of that. When you're playing in apartments, if your combo's there with you, you're trying to push with your team, your job before an Uber and, you know, during an Uber is just going to be sitting by this doorway and, of course, opening the shutter so that your team can leave if the Uber is bad, because this is a really bad Uber for teams to take. So, yeah, just you're mostly sitting over here to body block for a spy. If there's a dispenser in the way, then it fucks up a lot of heals from your medic. So please tell your engineer to not put a dispenser within the door frame. Aside from that, when Ubers happen, you're just gonna look for stickies, check for stickies. You're gonna probably stay revved, if not just fist of steel, but honestly, I'd say stay rev. And just look for the situation. Call out what your team is doing, just see what you're doing. And then if your team is still in, it's probably a winning fight. You could probably just walk out, do everything that I talked to you about beforehand. But if your team is losing, like let's just say, you know, it's looking fine, then it's not. Just stand by the door, let them all leave. Maybe you can hide behind the door as well. But the main idea is that your medic should live, your demo should live if the push does not go well. So help them out by opening the shutter door, keeping it open, and only then when you see your team staying in for a long time, or when your team is still staying in after that Uber exchange, that's when you can walk in. Any questions about that?
It's not possible.
Nope.
Alright, sweet.
It's not possible.
If you guys do end up winning it fast on first, and you guys want to really take it into them fast, one idea is this. If people are still not set up in apartments for whatever reason, and you, your demo, maybe a soldier is with you, and you're walking out main tunnel like this, one idea that you can try to do, but it might not work because it's a little bit of a weird play, admittedly, but try walking all the way through apartments from lower just with a whip. It sounds really weird, but if they're giving you enough space so that you can do that, it's really fucking good. It's probably the best way to push it if their team is incompetent. But that's only if they, like, all die on first, which is a rare enough situation to not make this a common thing. But that is something that you can do just in case that happens. But aside from that, is there any questions about second offense? Alright, sweet. So, defense on second is pretty self-explanatory. Every little bit of attention is playing towards apartments, and it's never in tunnel, never on the bridge. The only thing bridge-related is playing in this spot right here, which we'll talk about first. This spot right here is the most aggressive way to play apartments. It's also the best one if your combo's playing deep into their tunnel, or just playing around their tunnel. This is assuming your team also has control of side tuns, maybe with a soldier, maybe with a scout. But the idea is this: no matter where you're holding in apartments, your soldier really wants to go side tunnel. If he only plays up in apartments, assume that at some point he's going to want to go side tunnel to help his scout out. That means you have to play in accordance to that. You have to pay attention to apartments more so than you should playing in main tunnel, or should look at main tunnel. So, sitting over here is the easiest way to see if people are walking in. It's also the best way to start dealing immediate damage to people walking in and preventing them from dropping down into the window. However, just keep this in mind. Because you are playing this spot, you will also have to play a little bit weird, because if they walk in and they're fast and they just want to go for kills and they look at you and they want to kill you, you have to play it smart. Body glitch over here. Just make sure that you're looking at both angles. See what's peeking you, what's not peeking you. Seeing if you can just play a certain angle. Sometimes maybe this spot isn't the best. Maybe you have to play a bit back over here if people are really walking into you. I wouldn't say go all the way back because then you might get killed by a spy. But even still, it's just you have to be careful when you're playing the spot. Because if you're playing this alone, it can be really hectic. If your soldier's up there with you, it's going to be much better. Speaking of which, this spot on the staircase is also really good if your team is playing in tunnel, but you want to just play it a little bit back. Maybe you want to bait them into you. It's also a really nice way of calling out whether or not people are dropping down from apartments in the window. Although there isn't much that you can really do to stop it. However, the most important thing about this spot is that your soldier is going to be playing on the left side, just supporting you. He's going to be playing window, probably. And the idea is simple. You wait for the shutter to open over here, because usually it's going to be closed. If the shutter opens, expect a push. Don't immediately peek out, because maybe there's people looking to spam damage into you, which is really bad. But just check to see if you can see them before they can realistically deal enough damage to you. Assuming your soldier's there, you guys are going to be able to kill both of them with no or at least one person dying. It's not a guarantee. I'm not going to act like it's a guarantee. You just have to have better DM in a close space, which is much easier for you to deal with. However, the biggest thing is if they drop down in window, you're kind of screwed, because if nobody's watching window, then this is really bad. So make sure that you're always shooting if they are playing towards this left side. If they're playing on the right side, they're not going to really do much, so just pay attention to people on the left side. If they walk into you from the right side, easily deal with them. If not, you could probably just drop down, concede a little bit of space by the staircase, and just waiting for them to walk into you. But again, this is assuming that they're just not going to drop down from the window entirely. And finally, the third spot, the one that you probably just know right off the bat. This is assuming your team's up here and you guys are just getting ready for an apartments push, or maybe there's nobody tunnel. You're just going to be sitting around this angle most of the time, usually just for any sort of fight or any sort of peek that's happening. You mostly want to stand here, not so much, you know, in transition, but you just want to stand here. Fuck it, I'll show you how it's done. That's what I thought. Anyway, you mostly just want to stand here when you're fighting somebody. If you're not fighting somebody, you're going to be sitting in the back corner over here. Why is this important? Because if you're playing in this spot, this is the best spot for you to deal with people in side tuns by not peeking them. This is the easiest spot for you to not get killed by a spy, because the spy can decloak all the way over here. And it's really annoying. And if you're playing the window, you can't see that. So, play this window for people in apartments. Play this back corner to help your team. Because another thing, if you're playing all the way back here, the sniper might be able to peek you in tunnel, and that's really annoying. Don't die in stupid ways. just make sure that you have eyes on where the spy is going. You can spam side tons if you know the spy is going to be walking into mansion. You can check all the way on third to see if the spy is right there. Usually he'll be just shooting you with a l'échange. So, yeah, it's a weird spot. Also, yeah, if you want to get the pack below, step on the light and then drop down. Don't drop down immediately, then you'll just take fall damage and possibly die. Also, be mindful, maybe the engineer needs some ammo, and that's the quickest way for him to get fully stocked, so just be aware of that. Any questions for second?
No, sir.
Alright, so, Billy.
So I'm just copying the soldier.
One last thing before we go to third. If the cart is really close, your job is going to go from apartments to sitting on the cart. That's all I really got to say.
Yes, Sergeant.
For the remaining 3 points, I'm just going to talk about this pretty simply, pretty quickly. There's a lot of theory behind a lot of this, but also it's just kind of... I don't want to drone on for too long about points that really don't need that much consideration. So, let me just do this real quick. Everybody put on no clip. You guys got no clip on? Go back up into apartments. We're gonna do this shit lightning fast. Alright, so I'm playing up in apartments, right? This is third. One of the easiest ways for you to get stuff done is to just go from all the way over by this side of the apartments, going deep into silo. That's the main idea. However, this isn't really going to win you games unless your team is on board. So, what are you doing most of the time? You're just sitting up here waiting for a sniper to be peeking into windows with you. Maybe your team is playing up here. You're just denying the soldier, you're just denying the spy. But this is a very passive spot. It's not really going to get stuff done. Whether you drop down from apartments into lobby, or you just... or boiler. Sorry, not lobby, boiler. Or you just come from this shutter. The other idea is for you to peek out towards the left side, shooting the gun within the cracks of this fence. Just know that you will be shot, and you might die because of sniper, so just be aware of that. But regardless, if you get a whip, you can actually make the jump over here. And you can do it without whip too, you just need the grill. Exactly how Swedge just did it, but I'm just gonna go on ahead and show you guys what. So... So your soldier gives you a whip and then boom, you just make the jump and you're on silo. Why is silo so important? Like I said before, it's a win condition. Please don't treat this spot as the end-all be-all spot, but just recognize if you're able to get up here, it's going to be much easier for your team to push than it would be if you weren't up there. That's why some heavies will play by apartments. That's why you should consider when you're playing boiler going from this window all the way up into silo. But yeah, the most important part when you're playing up here is not so much to feed and die and drop down, but just to make it so that people have to peek you in order for them to deal with people on cart. You just play it like that, and it's going to be really easy for you to deal stuff, or to do the most that you can. Aside from that, there's a couple of different ways you can try pushing. If the team is not set up on third, the easiest way for you to get stuff done is to just push the cart through main. And from there, maybe you can go ahead and play over by this right spot. But if the cart is already up here with you, you can actually jump onto the cart and all the way up to here where Swedge is standing. We're going to be talking that a lot. We're going to be talking about that a lot on defense, but yeah, more often than not, if you're able to get up here, then you can probably just jump through the window, play red room. If not, you're going to be peeking from red room if you're not walking main. So red room's pretty simple. You just help your team. You're going to be playing on this opposite side of the wall, just sort of waiting for people to peek into you. When you're peeking the door, just be careful of anybody who might be seeing you upper. Just be careful of anybody trying to peek into you from these two doors. But the most important part is that when you're playing in red room, it's not so much the actual fight that's going to happen, it's how you're going to prepare for it. You're going to get a 450 buff no matter what push you're doing, no matter what point you're doing. But the most important part, people can spam you from this window, heavies can sit by this window and kill you. So, if if you want to play the smart Tomislav, no minigun, no nothing like that, you're going to peek and then immediately start beaming this window when you're walking up with your team. The reason you do that is because if you pre-fire, you don't have to worry about starting to shoot them, you just are shooting them. And the heavy's going to be really surprised, and he might drop down and die to your teammates. If not, one of the easiest things that you can do to just maintain pressure, not so much like silo, but just in general, is to play towards this window. Not so much jumping into the door frame and walking in, but just being prepared to shoot people over here. Like a demo, for example. If people are playing close to cart, you can kill them. If players are playing back, you might be able to kill them. If maybe the gun is playing all the way in the back, but the sniper's right here. You can play a little bit back so that you give yourself leeway in case people walk in, start shooting them. But what this allows you to do is, even though this is a bit of a worse play, it allows you to get upper. And upper, I don't really want you to focus on getting upper. I don't really want you to focus on these silly strats as well. I just want you to focus on what works. The most consistent things that you can do is window, silo, and the top right of boiler. But if you are able to get up here, and you're fast enough so that nobody expects you walking into this, this is also a win con. You play over here, nobody sees you in their spawn, you can peek when your team wants you to peek. Any questions about it? Because there's a lot of different ways that you can push, but a lot of them kind of depend on what the other team is doing. And there is other ways that you can push that besides what I've talked about so far, but those are the most common and most successful ways that I've seen happen. One thing about boiler before we go on with defense. If you're playing boiler, do not play it from the bottom door. This is not really that good. This is not really that good of a push to do because you're kind of giving them the entire sight line. So just focus on playing upper and dropping down. Also, when you are pushing the cart, be aware that people might still walk into you. People might be on this sign right here, which we'll talk about sooner or later. But the most important thing is that you're looking out for snipers in the spawn, or people behind. So, yeah, just play your life, play it safe, and don't die to stupid things.
I just found something that I didn't know existed until just now.
What's up?
You looking at me right now? I'm the group heavy right here.
Yeah.
On the wall. So if you jump here, okay, if you're not bad like me and you actually make that jump.
It's a bit of a you have to like you have to press crouch before you jump. It's a weird one.
Oh, okay.
I know what you're talking about, and we're gonna get to that soon, but
No, not that.
Just
that.
turn on AdCon 32. It's gonna be much easier. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, no. And then
Yeah.
And then it's this, and then you go here.
Yep.
And then you go here. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that, but that goes into the category of silly shit. And I really love doing this because, you know, for some reason you can just sit up here, but let's talk about the correct way to hold defense first before we go into theory.
Okay.
So, there's two different spots that you should consider playing. One of which is kind of connected by one certain space, the other is just kind of free-form jazz. This is the easiest and most common spot that you'll see heavies play. It's really good because you look at people under, you spot people under, or not, you spot people from under walking from upper or red room. You can fight people who drop down. You can fight people who walk across, because if they walk across by your staircase, guess what job that is? That's you. You need to go over there if people are by the stairwell. But the most important thing is that you recognize whether or not you're going to take a fight. You have all of this free space to do whatever. You're only worried about spy in this corner. You're just watching for spy in everybody else's corner. It's just a really nice spot for you to be in. But it's also dependent and reactive, depending on what the other team is doing. If for some reason the cart is being pushed and there's nobody stopping, you might be able to peek out. That's what you should generally be doing for a post fight anyway. If people are pushing the cart, if they ended main, maybe not from upper, but definitely pushing main, that's what you can do. Just peek out a little bit. And if the cart is close, like if it's up over here, that's when I would consider jumping on it and getting all the way up here onto this little spot by red room. Speaking of which, if you want to get up there preemptively, of course you can always go through the red room, just jump straight into here. What is the advantage about this spot? The advantage about this spot is that you can freely wait for people to walk into red room, but you also have a chance to be proactive. If they're for some reason in the back of red room, not peeking, you can jump through the door frame and start shooting people. But just be aware, you're running into them, jump revving into them. It's really, 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 really risky. But if people don't expect you and you play it well, then it's going to be much easier for you to do that push than it would be if you just jumped in willy-nilly. It's based off of what they're trying to do, not what you're trying to do. So play with a spy if you want to guarantee this succeeding. But another thing, don't have a happy trigger finger when you're playing this spot. Sometimes you can see somebody walking by the doorframe and then just leaving because they're playing back. They're supposed to be playing for the gun, not you sitting up in this little spot. So the best thing that you can really do is just hold off until they fully peek their body and they're starting to fight towards the left side of this window. Once they start doing that, that's when you can start guaranteeing kills. But, you know, if he's over here, fully buffed demo, he might not die. That's just how it is. But he's out of the fight because he needs to be healed. At least for a couple of seconds. I would not suggest jumping in after him, trying to chase for a kill, but at the very least you stop him. And in case anything goes south, sour or anything, you can jump down from this spot and go back into the corner spot that we talked about beforehand. One other thing that I do want to mention, when you are playing in that spot, by the window, you're also watching main indirectly. So if people are pushing from both angles, you might just have to focus one and not the other, and that can be really hectic, but usually when you're playing for main, you don't want to peek out all the way in, just walking in. You want to peek around this corner, just being a nuisance. Playing main is generally worse than playing for red room, so try to prioritize red room. Let your other people deal with main. Aside from that, there's one more spot that I really want to talk about because a lot of people have used this spot beforehand. I really want to make it a spot that I can do a lot of things with, but it's just something I can't really suggest without giving some caveats first. It's this spot right here. A lot of players used to play this spot back then. It's still useful today because you have the ability to jump down into better spots, but sitting up here all by yourself, all by your lonesome, is not really that good if you just pair it with doing this and nothing more. Because snipers can peek you, soldiers can shoot you, heavies can shoot you in any single place by upper. In boiler, or by the windows, for example. Main can shoot you if they really want to. Sure, it might be good at fighting the heavy at an equal level if he's on silo, but he's gonna expect you over here. In fact, I'm pretty sure he can see you if you're playing over here. Let me just no-click and get up there. Can somebody play in that corner? Yeah, I can see you without even trying. Like, your minigun is all the way over there. You have to look away. Otherwise, I won't be able to see you. So, it's not really that good of a spot on its own. Standalone. But if you pair that spot with the ability to drop down, just being flexible wherever you can be, it can be really good, especially if a team's not expecting it, because 1 second you're up here, the other second you're down over here fighting their demo. Or better yet, I'm going to remove AdCom because it's easier for me to do it without it. Or, how do I remove an AdCom? Do I just...
I think it's like remove con.
Yeah, I tried typing that, it didn't work. Oh well. But yeah, I'll do this slow then. So another thing that you can try to do is if you have the space and the time, you could drop down over here like this. But it's not really that worth it because there's so much... I don't really agree with it. When you are playing this spot, the best thing that you can do is drop down into a better spot. And the transition for that is really risky because you're putting yourself at an unnecessary risk peeking a sightline that you probably shouldn't be peeking. Like, let's just put this for example. The sniper knows you up here because the spy is already looking at you or has just mentioned to the sniper, hey, he's playing above red room. Can you deal with him? He says, yeah, sure. He's going to look at you, and even though you can't get damage from the spot by him, he's just going to be able to kill you if you peek out even a smidgen. So... be careful when you're playing this spot. It can be really good, but if people catch on, it's not really that good of a spot. Now, are there any questions with the normal stuff? Because that's pretty much about it. Alright, cool. I want to discuss a little bit of theory. you have to be fast with this because depending on the team, it might just be useless because you're far away from red room. You're not helping your team winning the fight in red room. Also, if the cart is close by and you have the time, try making the jump over here. It's really good for you to just be sitting in this position, being a nuisance. So if the cart's all the way up, instead of playing in this corner, you can just consider playing this spot. But anyway, if you also have the time and their team is not pushing up and they're sending a lot of people boiling, what you can do is try to play this angle right here by fourth. You just watch for people jumping in the beginning, watch for red ring pressure, and with haste, by the way, just be quick about it. You walk through boiler, and you play by the staircase the entire time. Oh, you can actually go through here. Alright, cool. So, yeah, most of the time you're just going to want to peek it a bit slow. You're going to also want to do this with your soldiers. Do not do this alone. Because if you do this alone, you're just going to die. But doing it with people is so much better, and if you clear out boiler, that's one less angle for your team to worry about. Then they can worry about main and red room. But more often than not, you're going to be able to get up here. Maybe you can get a kill. Maybe you can get a lot of kills and everything's freed up. If that's the case, then I would consider doing some silly shit. And the best way for you want to know the best way to do some silly shit? Let me tell you. People might walk main, and people might walk red room, but if you want to deal with anybody playing this left side window, you play over this. If you want to deal with any sort of heavy trying to jump onto silo, or anybody trying to push from main, like a combo for example, you play over here. You might be able to play in the middle for a bit of both, but at the same time, you're kind of just waiting for people to make a mistake into you when you're playing to catch out mistakes, instead of actually forcing them. That's the reason this spot is silly. It doesn't do anything proactive, it's only reactive, but it's a funny way of being reactive. I don't think you should be doing this 9 times out of 10, but that 1/10 of the time, consider trying it out. But more often than not, play this corner spot, play this wall over here. Don't try fighting main unless, you know, you're fighting a team that really just... You're gonna have a lot of fun playing this spot, but it also is just a way for you to gain time. It's a distraction way at best, but you're also clearing out a room, possibly. But at the same time, you're also removing yourself from red room. Red room is the most important spot on this point, so please consider playing around it. That's why all the good spots are really good for it. If people are above red room, they're going into your spawn. You go from the corner all the way to the staircase. If not, then you're just playing the crack. You're playing right below here. It's really good. Anyway, any questions for defense on third? Because this is my favorite point from Swiftwater.
I don't have a question, but you could actually end here on heavy with Rue. That I noticed that I was doing some testing like a few months ago, and I have the rocket jumper here.
Yeah, I know.
Actually end here on heavy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can stand up there. It's not useful in any way, and if you stand over there, people can see your feet if they're trained.
Yeah.
The other
that's
thing
kinda what
that's
I got from it. I thought it
the
was
other
fun.
thing that's kind of impossible is for you to go from megaphone all the way to silo. I've tried it so much. I've tried different angles, trying to walk with Rue, trying to walk with whips, trying to walk with both. You just cannot do that. There would also kind of be no reason to do that. But if you were able to get up here, maybe it might be useful for something, but until there is a development, I wouldn't consider trying to play on silo for defense. Anyway, offense fourth, pretty simple. I'm going to talk about this in 2 different ways. Pushing from main to get up all the way in their face, and playing passive in garage because your sniper needs room. If people are playing aggressive, i.e. they're all the way over here by main, you're going to have to go all the way through garage to help your sniper. From garage, there's 2 ways for you to push. Or there's 2 things that you can do before a push. You either peek over here, just trying to see if anybody's by the window. You can shoot people, you can do whatever. Be mindful of the gun, be mindful of snipers trying to kill you. The other thing is just waiting for your team, biding your time. Watching for spies, but also just being aware of people in the game state. If you see the game state is in your favor, maybe your team is finally getting space over here, that's when you can walk out and hug the left side wall in order for you to walk straight into the other team. I want you to hug the left side wall and not really walk up the right side wall because it's very, very open. and you're open to a lot of sniper shots. You are open to a sniper sightline over here, technically, but this minimizes the risk. The only thing that you then need to worry about is getting yourself onto this wall. If you are walking up, be careful of people in tree, be careful of people on the right side. The most important thing is that you're just kind of, in a way, waiting for... You're kind of just hoping that people are passive. Well, not so much hoping for people to be passive, you're kind of forcing them to be passive. Because you're all the way close up, and they can't really deal with you close up. The two different ways that you can push this is from the right side while your demo's going on the left, and the left side if your team is going on the right. The important thing is that left side is much better for heavy, but the right side is really good if you want to play away from your team but also help your team at the exact same time. It's a different angle, and with that you have to play it accordingly. This also allows you to get all the way over here, so you can play this spot when you're playing aggressive. Of course, you can also play back and on the pack. Your team's going to be playing on cart, your demo's going to be playing closer towards main, you're going to be playing closer towards main, and you're just going to prevent anybody from walking out. That's the main idea with this. With tree, you can do the exact same thing, you just have to be more mindful of what's over here. You have to be mindful of gun, heavy, especially on this wall, because if the heavy plays it smart, he's just going to wait for you to play onto the fence, and then he's going to start shooting you. He's not going to play directly over here, and if he does, it's an easy kill for you. Really easy kill for you, because then you could just play it accordingly. He has to sit all the way in the back of fence, sitting over here, if he wants to avoid it. And sure, maybe he might be able to deal some damage, but if I'm forced to play in this position, guess what happens? The demo on the right side is going to mess him up. So, yeah, being in this position is kind of just a power move. So consider playing that if you're up on the wall. If not, your team's pushing the cart, maybe you want to play the right side. But aside from that, make sure that you're watching out for sniper sight lines, and this should be a relatively easy point for you to clear out. Any questions on offense? Because that's the shortest thing I'm ever going to really explain. Also, yeah, you can jump over here with Gru. Alright, sweet. So for defense, it's pretty much the exact same thing. I'm just going to talk about the passive, the forward, and the aggressive play. Or not forward, but the standard way of playing. Passive, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're playing to head glitch, and you're playing to try and see if you can walk out. You don't want to sit here. Never sit here, especially for a bomb. If you want to deal with a bomb, play a little bit forward, play a little bit back over by the fence, but you're mostly just playing standard if you're playing to deny a bomb like this. If you play for a bomb like this, you're just allowing them to walk into fence. And that's what you don't want to do. This is really the only thing that you can do if people are, you know, if you lost this point, but you can still try fighting cart. If you're fighting cart, this is the best thing for you. You just head glitch, wait for people to walk into you. If you see nobody by the tree, that's when I would consider jumping up and trying to get onto the fence. But you also should consider that you should be doing this with your team. You should not be doing this alone. You have to be doing this with your team or somebody else. Speaking of the fence, this is where you're going to be sitting for most of the game. You're going to be paying attention to the right side. You're also going to be paying attention to the left side. Use this crack for information and just get a 450 buff at all times. Listen for calls for a bomb. Watch out for snipers in both this window over here and this window over here. And this should be pretty simple. Aside from that, you're not going to really play this to play aggressive. You're going to really play this to peek out and kill people. What that means is that you're going to be body glitching the entire time, just seeing if you can catch out somebody, but also just respecting the fact that if you peek too deep, you might die. Now, if your team has the space and there's nobody in front of you, that's when I would consider playing the forward hold. The forward hold is really team dependent, but usually heavies will sit around the left side wall, just sort of hovering around. Maybe they play this corner for spies, but more often than not, they're just sitting around this corner waiting to back up in case people are in garage, like a sniper, like a soldier, like a heavy. Or the demo too. But aside from that, there's not really much to do on fourth. It's just pretty standard. It's a big area, but it's also really big, so there's nothing to do. You're playing very enclosed in this big open area. You're like only really playing towards these fine lines. And that's really about it. So, any questions? Alright, sweet. So, you can jump into lobby like this. You can also jump into lobby like this instead of going up the staircase. So more often than not, do this if you just want to go up, but yeah. Fifth is a bit of a weird thing for you to try and deal with. Oh, before I actually before I talk about fifth, I mentioned a Swede I mentioned a Swede last night, because we did a review last night, that your team, if you're playing on defense, you have no space over here, you guys should be walking out, trying to get over into this shack over here, just trying to play above the cart. This, in my mind, is kind of a bit of a desperation play, one that requires a lot of commitment from people that generally are faster than you. I would suggest playing passive if your team wants to go for something like that, not only because it's a different angle for people to look at you from, but you're just not really that fast going into this spot. You could do it if your soldier's whipping you, but if you're playing to deny fourth instead of, you know, playing for fifth, I don't know, it just kind of seems like a bit of a weird thing for me to do. But, I mean, if I wasn't getting whiffed, if there was no soldier over there, maybe I can consider playing main. If your team wants to play with you, I mean, playing on the top floor, just shooting the crack down onto cart and avoiding sniper sight lines is the only thing that I can realistically see you doing. So, yeah, sorry, I haven't really played this a lot with my team. I've only done this like a handful of times, and every single one of them has failed, so I don't really have much to say on this. You're gonna have to figure that out with your team. I'm sorry. Anyways, let's talk about fifth offense. I will talk about lobby, but I will also talk about playing by cart. So first, I'm just going to talk about lobby. If there's nobody opening the shutter, the only thing then you can really do is just walk over here, just jumping onto the crates, avoiding a sniper sightline or anybody over by this door frame, opening the shutter for your team, and then just avoiding splashes from the avoiding splash rockets from the other soldier. Once that's done, maybe your team's up here, maybe you just get a soldier up here. Your main goal then is to either play this left side over by the heavy, by the left spotlight, or you're playing the window. You could consider playing by paint, and I'll talk about that a bit later, but usually heavies don't do that, and your team wants you to play in a position where you're not gonna spend a long time rotating. That's kind of the fault of playing over here by window, is that no matter what, if you're getting something done, you're not going to be able to get anything more done than what's in front of you. You're going to have to take a while to rotate all the way over to the left side alone, or maybe you want to play paint, but that's an even longer rotate, or maybe you want to play cart, but you can't play cart because you need to walk all the way in the back just so you can drop down. It's kind of bad, but it's on your team. It's on your team if they, sorry, my bad. If you're playing in window, then you put your trust onto your team to push the cart. Sometimes you can't let that happen, other times you can. Let me talk about the times that you can. If you want to play window, there's two ways that you do it. The first way is playing on the right side of window. You're just aiming to kill the heavy. This is a pure DM fest. The heavy, if he's sitting on the left spotlight, is going to be really vulnerable to any pressure, especially a heavy immediately walking into them on window. I've rarely ever seen heavies lose this fight. So get a 450 buff, but just pre-fire as well. Just play so you can disrupt and prevent him from playing a fight. His main goal is cart, but he's also supposed to watch for people in lobby. If you disrupt that and you possibly kill him, it's going to be really easy for your team to push the cart, or at least easier to push the cart with your team. Outside of that, the other main target is the gun, and you can do that easily from this side. You can either corner peek really close, which I don't really suggest doing, but the other thing is playing far back and then just trying to shoot the gun. Maybe your spy saps it at the same exact time, maybe your demo shoots it from main, but you need to just shoot the gun with whoever is shooting the gun as well. The other important thing is if you're playing on window, you're also paying attention to anybody else on the left side, and if you're able to get space, you can transition to looking at people on the right side as well. You don't want to feed. I don't want to make that an important thing, or something that I'm expecting you guys to have, but yeah, just play your life when you're in this spot. Don't feed, please. It's really easy for you to just get overwhelmed by, hey, I'm doing enough damage to the heavy that I'm peeking, and then you're dead to the gun, dead to the sniper, maybe a spy gets behind you, maybe a scout gets behind you as well. So, play your life. You can also push from the left side as well. This is more so just to counter the gun, but also to counter anybody who's playing close towards the point. So a sniper, a demo, anybody really up there. It's not really that good at dealing with the heavy and spotlight, but at the same time, the heavy and spotlight can't deal with you too well. This is really good at dealing with the heavy on the right, if he's playing either above the door frame or he's playing on the right spotlight, but it's not going to do that much damage to him. It's only going to pepper him and let your team know where he's standing. If he's in the middle by the crevice, you might be able to shoot him. Can somebody actually stand on the crevice right before cart? Where the... I just want to see something real quick. Yeah, I can't see you at all. I can see your shadow, but that's really about it. Yeah, nah. Never mind, thank you. The other place that you can really push from is Soldier and you peeking out towards the left side. This is really good if there's nobody preventing you from walking in, like a gun, like a pyro. But you have to be careful because if you're peeking over here willy-nilly, you're just gonna die. So what do? Get a 450 buff, get whips, and you're gonna just rev around the corner. The most important part is that you're killing anybody overlooking the cart. I want you to prioritize them instead of people in spawn, people right behind. Focus on the heavy in the corner, focus on anybody. That's just going to make your team's life a misery if you don't kill them or don't disrupt them. So focus the heavy, then maybe the gun if you haven't killed that already, but you should be pushing in if the gun's dead, generally. So please use this as not so much a distraction play, but just a surprise play. Alright? Alright, sweet. So those are the two ways that you can push from above. But, in my opinion, only window and... actually, no, never mind. Both of those are really good if you play it for the long game. However, if you want to play it fast, you want to play it quick, you want to have a more short-term goal, then the best way for you to do that is if people are not set up. I have to stress this. If people are not set up on 5th, you, your demo, your medic, maybe a scout, you guys walk up all the way over here, you start head glitching. But you're just there to help your team out. The worst things that can really happen are in paint, but usually people won't be in paint. This is also a really good angle to push from if your team is trying to push in main. You could try sitting on the cart, and the rotate is a little bit tricky because you are peeking everything, but if you are able to get up here, it's a really devastating play from you to the enemy team. You head glitch around this corner, you deal much more damage than they can deal to you, but at the same time, I suggest you doing this with your team if you want to play forward, if they want to play forward. And you just want to guarantee a round win. It's really bad in the long term because you just end up losing players because war of attrition, they have spawns, you don't. You have packs and ammo, but it's only for one person at a time. And even more so, you're in a position where you can't really play forward enough. You might be, and that's the other thing too, if you are able to get forward and hold their spawn, that's more on them. Like, you should generally be playing to meet them instead of trying to beat them in their own spawn. So have that expectation of when you're walking over here, you're walking with your team, or your team is on the bottom supporting you, and you guys are just shooting the same things together. Shoot the gun, shoot people above the cart. It's really good. But that's not the only way to push it. That's the best way to push it from lower, but that's not the only way. The other way is you play on the bottom left, you shoot the gun or the gun is dead, and that's when you start peeking. I really don't like this. This promotes a really, really risky style of heavy that I don't really want you to play. Sure, it's necessary sometimes, like if your team's playing on the cart, but no, because if people just see you, like, here's how easy it is to deal with you. I could sit by this corner, see that you're peeking, I win that fight instantly. It's so bad for the other heavy if they play down here. So please don't play down here. But it is an angle to push, and it is something that you should consider if your team wants to push cart. Aside from that, that's it for offense. Any questions on it?
Nope.
Alright, sweet. And finally, defense. And defense is categorized by 3 different ways of doing the exact same thing. Either standing on the right spotlight, the left spotlight, or the door frame. That's really about it. Every single one of those positions really focus down on the cart. The right side is more important than any other spot purely because, hey, I'm sitting in the spot, I'm directly above them, and in case people are getting the cart too close, I can drop down. The left side is pretty much the exact same thing. Or not the left, sorry, my bad. Yeah, no, this is the left side. So if the left side is pretty much doing the exact same thing, except you're away from your team. This also means that you're away from a spot that people can start shooting you from if they end up getting the space over on the left, over on this spot over here. If people walk in, it's better for you to play the far spotlight, but if people are not walking in and they're all playing tracks, consider playing this spot. Also consider playing this spot if you want to look into lobby, but I would not play for lobby because, again, want to know why? The heavy has a better fight than you. So much so that you can't really fight that without a 450 buff and luck. So, yeah, let's try to just focus on skill instead of what you can realistically do. Sorry, my bad. You... Dude, fucking... And then, of course, the last thing, playing up here. I mean, sure, this is doing the exact same thing, but the thing that I really don't like about it is that you get seen before you're able to even shoot them. This spot is bad in the long term, but hey, maybe it might be able to just catch somebody out. I don't know. But I feel like if anything, you play these 2 spotlights and maybe the door frame if you want to be funny. And the most important part is that you're not standing on this fucking slit in the wall. Please do not do this and expect to play this the entire time. Because you want to know how far it takes for them to see you. I want somebody to stand up here for a second. Normal sized heavy. Alright, cool. Just stand right where I'm standing. I'm just going to pretend I'm pushing cart. I see you right there, and I'm crouching. Take a look at where I'm standing right now. I can see you from right there while you're sitting above me. Want to know what that means? If I see you playing in this corner, and it's especially going to just be... It's going to be even worse if I'm closer. If I'm for some reason closer, and you're sitting in that transition spot, I'm just going to kill you. It's so much better for you to be playing on the spotlights than it would be for you to just play on the crack itself. So please don't do that. Other than that, yeah, if the cart gets too close, consider sitting behind it. And there's not much that you can really do, so there's not much for me left to explain. You just sit behind the cart, deal damage wherever you can. And the way that I usually play it, to minimize any spies looking at me, I just check behind. My team's already looking in front, so I don't need to worry about anything. I check behind, sit on the cart, watch for a spy to decloak. He might jump above, might play below. But the other thing is, if I'm very low, and I want to guarantee a win, maybe it's like 10 seconds left on the clock.
Very well.
I straight up want you to eat on the cart.
Ah.
Think about this, for example. You get a 450 buff and people are dealing constant damage to you. You still get healed. So assume this. Your 450 buff is completely gone and you're down to 1 health. And during that moment when you are 1 health, you eat a sandwich. People still deal damage to you, but luckily your medic's able to arrow you. You effectively tank 750 damage from you doing this. Possibly more, possibly less, but even more so, you're sitting on the cart still. Use that to your advantage. It's not exactly a good play, but it is something to throw out just in case people are not really expecting it. Alright? And with that, that's pretty much it for Swiftwater. So, yeah, you guys have any questions?
I've had teammates call me crazy for like pulling out my sandwich and eating when like an Uber pulls up and there's no chance to get away. Is that stupid or do you think that's smart?
That's not stupid. That's smart.
Okay.
I learned about it recently, so I'm a little bit biased because it is new information, and new information is really cool to me until it's not new information. But Yeah, if you're caught out during an Uber, the best thing that you can do is just preemptively eat because, you know, they're going to be dealing damage to you. Demo's going to be dealing damage to you. Usually demos are a part of the Ubers, so... Yeah. I'd suggest you eating if there's no way to really escape. But at the same time, if you need to die, then die quick. I wouldn't even worry about eating if that's the case. I would just worry about dealing damage and forcing people to trade with Ubers. Or forcing Ubers onto other players because you are just there. Because whenever you eat, it's effectively a taunt. People don't have to start shooting you. Not immediately. And if you're sitting on point just eating or taunting, they don't need to worry about taking an Uber into you. They can let the other people outside of the Uber deal with you. You're caught out, that doesn't mean that you have, you know... That doesn't mean you have the power... That doesn't mean you have the power to not bite. But you're just kind of put in a very, very disadvantageous state. And you need to play like you are. If the Uber is getting taken into you, you might be able to eat, but if it's not, if it's for a medic and they run away from you, it'd be much better for you to just keep yourself revved instead of eating and then dying to somebody because you weren't revved in time. I'm probably explaining it poorly, but...
No, I get what you're saying. It's contextual. Like, if they've got supportive people, it's probably not a good idea. But if it's, like, a lone medic demo Uber and they're, like, overextending into me, it's smart to waste their time.
Yeah. Alright, but with that, I'm gonna head out for right now. Hope that this was a good review for you guys and it wasn't too drawn out, long.
This was super helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Alright, sweet. I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, thank you.
Adios.
Thank you, Touca.
See you.